Hi y'all, I hope you're doing well today. It's October 3rd, Friday of 2025. I just wanted to do a little quick review on the Stihl FS91R that I purchased a couple months ago. I do some work up in the UP and on our property here. It's a 4-stroke and it uses a 2-cycle mix, and I'm really impressed with it. It's what they consider their low end of their professional, and it has plenty of power. It's easy to start, and it's been really reliable. It replaced a Hyper Tough that we got from Walmart about 4 years now, which still runs, still works. It just lacks in power when it comes to a lot of taller grass and weeds. And also, I was looking for something that had attachments so we could cut small saplings, so I could put a wood blade on the end of this and be able to use this then to cut down small saplings. And that was the main reason for this. So we can do some clearing and walk along and make some paths and clean up. Just really impressed with it. I've always been cheap and tried to save money and purchased, cheap things. And like it goes with cheap stuff, sometimes it just doesn't last. Sometimes you get lucky. This Hyper Tough, we got lucky with it. I'm impressed for the little thing that it is. It still works well, but it's good for small jobs. We needed something that could tackle a lot higher grass and thicker grass. Very easy starting procedure with Stihls. You full choke it, you push the button in, full choke it. Prime it a few times. You don't have to touch any of the controls. Couple pulls, they start up pretty easy. Impressed with all the Stihl equipment that I have. Like I said, this is their 4-stroke. It's just kind of quick with their button, with the stop button there, it turns it off. Like I said, impressed with Stihl. I know everyone has their favorite. Well, now that I've got some Stihl products, that's what I'm sticking with Stihl chainsaws. And I still went cheap, and I bought another chainsaw on Amazon that I'm going to do I needed a little top handle for doing some real small trimming and didn't want to pull out something big. So I found one that people reviewed and talked about quite a bit, so I went and I got myself one. But it's lightweight enough, easy enough to handle, has a strap, so when my bride uses it, she puts the strap on. And but I can actually run this, and it's not hard on me. So I just want to do a little quick review. Again, it's the FS91R. Starts really easy, 4-stroke, but it uses a 2-cycle oil mix. I had a gentleman that commented on one of my last videos on my chainsaw about how I do a little bit heavier mix. I go a little bit more of a little bit more oil, and he said, please don't do it. Well, I can't find any reason why not to. He said that the extra oil doesn't do anything. Well, you look at a lot of older equipment, and they seem to always have a little bit heavier mix. I talk to guys that run saws all the time, and they do the same thing. They add a little bit. Everyone's got their opinion. So no one's told me there's been any adverse effects to running it with a couple more ounces of oil in your gallon of fuel. So that's what I'm going to continue to do. That's what my father did. Sometimes the old people were pretty smart. He always did that, but like I said, a lot of older equipment called for more oil. And There's some theories out there that that's the reason why some power equipment doesn't last very long, or they have piston problems because they're not getting the lubrication. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue to run it with a little bit more oil. It starts up, it runs fine. So it's not smoking or anything. He also said in there to use, you know, Stihl's mix. And I use their oil, but he had it in there. You know, they have the premix with the gasoline in there, and he used 91. Well, in some areas it's hard to get premium fuel, and I don't believe in using rec fuel. I think rec fuel's a scam. I've never used rec fuel in any of my equipment. It sits out in the winter. I try to run the tanks as empty as possible, or if they have a fuel shut off, I run the carburetor out, and I just haven't had problems. So I'm not convinced that rec fuel is the way to go. Again, if that's what you want to use and get, that's fine. Rec fuel in my area is kind of hard to find. So, and that's the other thing, you know, everyone, you know, we all live somewhere different. What might be easy for you to get isn't always easy for me to get, and vice versa. So, Stihl, I went with something that was a little bit more pro grade. Hopefully this is the last weed whip that I'll ever have to purchase. I'm sure it's going to outlast me, and when I'm gone, my bride will use it. So, thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or tell me what you think about my oil, what I'm using with oil. Like and subscribe. Thanks, everyone, and take care and have a good day.